Hello everyone and welcome to this video about deeply understanding of Azure Pipelines agent. During many conversation and discussion, I have seen a lot of confusion and misunderstanding of Azure Pipeline. In this video, I will try to cover and clear all assumptions and provide deeply understanding of Azure Pipeline. So first, we will see the difference between the hosted agent and the self-hosted or the private agent. So we'll understand deeply what is the difference between them. Then we will start understanding a comparison between both of them from the configuration perspective. Then we will talk about the comparison from the characteristic of each type of agent. Then when to use each one or each type. So when to use the hosted agent and when to use the private agent. Also, we will understand when not to use each one. It's very important to have implicit definition about when to use and when not to use. Then we will understand the difference between organization pool and project pool for the agent. Then we will understand the relationship between projects, project pool, and organization pools. After that, we will understand how we can delegate the organization pool admin to a project admin. So for example, if you have an organization administrator and you don't want to give the organization administrator to the project admin so they can configure and manage the build pool. So how to delegate this permission for the project admin without delegating the organization admin. After that, we will understand the roles and the permission organization pool vs project pool, so we can see what is the difference between the permission on both levels. Then after that, we will start talking about what is the difference between the agent running as a service and the agent running as an interactive. So we can understand how we configure that and what is the deeply different between them. After that, we will see how to install Azure Pipelines and how even to install multiple agents on the same machine. Then how to uninstall or remove Azure Pipeline. After that, we'll start talking how to run agent as a service or as a process, which is the interactive mode. So we will see that. Then we will see the demo workflow. As you may already used in my videos, I prefer to describe the demo steps in a workflow so you can understand exactly what will happen in the demo. So in the demo, the first demo, we will just get understanding or get an overview about what is the current hosted image ready or hosted ready image by Microsoft. The second demo will start creating an organization pool and then project pool for different projects with an installation with multiple agents on the same machine. To continue in this demo, we will start creating a pool with auto provision the organization agent pool and then install agent as an interactive or a process, start and stop the agent or the interactive process, the agent as an interactive process. Then after that, we will see how to uninstall or remove agent from the machine. But first, let me give you a quick introduction about myself. My name is Mohammed Radwan. I'm a developer technologies MVP and principal DevOps consultant. I have been doing software development for more than 15 years now, worked on several projects for different enterprise customers across different regions and countries. I heavily participated in the community, developed several frameworks, presented many sessions, holding various certificates for Azure and DevOps. I started back in 2002 as a classic ASP developer, relocated multiple times in multiple countries, worked with several technologies and for different roles and positions. And for the last 8 years, I moved to consultancy-based role where I focused more on helping different companies, some of them from the Fortune 500, to improve their software development and delivery using DevOps and automation. I have developed and authored several frameworks, command line tools, and guides. You can find them on GitHub and Azure DevOps Marketplace. I like to share my experience. This is why I have a YouTube channel and blog where they have hundreds of videos and posts that share different topics from my real experience. I have presented many sessions in several user group conferences, events, and customer site as well in different countries. So I got the chance and the opportunity to work in different culture, project size, and company size as well, which helped me to have different experience. Here are some links for my activities. Hosted agent vs self-hosted agent or a private. So the hosted agent, which is provided by Microsoft, the hosted agent provided as software as a service. So you just consume them. So you don't have access to these servers and you don't configure these servers. And the other side, the self-hosted, which is a private agent, this could be on premises because this could be your machine on your on premises or maybe your machine on the cloud. And this you manage it. So you control everything about this machine. Configuration comparison. So if we look at the hosted agent, it's ready images. So we have the operating system and the applications on each image. So we have different ready images. So the first image is Ubuntu 16.04. This is a ready image. Another one is Mac OS and Mac OS High Sierra. Windows 19 with Visual Studio 19. Visual Studio 17 on Windows Server 2016. Hosted, which has Windows Server 2012 R2 with all the Visual Studio. And Windows Container for building container. So this is ready-made images with applications, and again I don't install either the operating system neither the applications on this machine. On the other side with the self-hosted, because I manage this application, so I just install the operating system, install any application on this machine. Of course, for example, if this on the cloud, this is a machine on the cloud, I may use a template with the operating system already installed and just, so this is, I have fully managed this machine. So of course, if it is the cloud, I don't install the operating system, but if it is on the premise, it means that I install also the operating system. Characteristic comparison. So if we look from the characteristics, I don't need to worry about patches and update because the hosted is not, again, it's provided as a services. I consume them. I don't manage them. So I don't need to worry about any update or patches for these machines. It's a very quick way to get an agent with the desired operating system and configuration. For example, if I want to build Android application and I need a Mac OS, it's a very quick way to get a build agent with Mac OS ready immediately to start building my application. So it's really very good way to have that. It's an amazing way to get macOS agent on demand instead of having your own agent without utilization. Just imagine that if you have a machine which you install, a Mac machine that you're using as a build, but because this is the build machine, you just reserve this machine for build, but you are not using it most of the time. So by having the hosted build, it means that you utilize the time for this license because you are not consuming the license without need. If you're using macOS hosted agent and you are in Europe, so you just need to consider the GDPR because, for example, the data stored in US if you're using the macOS, and you might need to review your GDPR regulations to make sure that you're compliant with that if your data stored in the US. You can't change the hardware or software configuration. So if I want, for example, to increase the memory, or if I want to change the hard disk with speeding the hard disk, more speed hard disk, then I can't do that. I can't change the configuration of the machine. I can't change the operating system. You can watch this video for more information about Git with animation. You will see different animated commands like branch, merge, rebase, cherry pick, and many others. On the other hand, the self-hosted is I need to manage everything. So even if it is on the cloud, I need to manage the updates, the patches on these machines, because again, I have responsibilities about configuration of this machine. So I start managing the operating system, installing the application, the patches and updates, and so on. I can change anything in the machine. So I can change the configuration. I may increase the memory or changing the hard disk. So this is why I can speed up this machine. When to use each one? So hosted cloud, if you have a small source code, so the size of your source code, for example, it doesn't take long time to download because in the hosted agents, the machine just created on the fly and tear down at the end of the build. So every time you run the build, it will download the source code. So if your source code is small, then you can use your a hosted agent. It doesn't take also long time to compile. So your source code is small and it doesn't take long time to compile. If your build process is optimized and your unit testing really run fast. So for example, you follow the best practices for CI and all your unit testing in memory test. So they just run very fast. The self-hosted, when to use them? Always start, this is why I will say always start with the hosted agent. Don't start with the self-hosted and just promote to the self-hosted only if you have any issue with the hosted like performance, security, accessibility. Let me give you an example. If we remember when we design the class like the private or public method, if you remember when we usually ask ourselves, should I make the method public or private? And the best practices for design is to create the method as a private. And then if you need this method to be consumed by others, then you promote that private to be public. So it's like least privilege. It is the same concept here. Don't think of the self-hosted. You will start usually by the hosted, by Microsoft hosted agent, and then promote to self-hosted if you have problem about performance, for example, or if you have about security, or accessibility. Like you can't have this, you can't access. We will explain, for example, the hosted agent can't deploy to on-premises, for example. So this is from accessibility point of view. So the security that this is on the cloud, so you need to open a port or you need to have connection. So always start with the host and promote to the self-host when needed. You can use also the self-hosted as a second line support or like a contingency if the hosted agent has any problem. It's unlikely to happen, but for example, sometimes maybe the hosted agent in some few situation it could have a problem about getting the agent. Is not again, it is not unlikely to happen, but in case if you are working with mission critical application, I would prefer to have a self-hosted as a backup if the hosted agent has any problem, so I can immediately using the self-hosted as a backup or a contingency build agent. When not to use each one. So if you have with the hosted agent, if you have a large code base which takes long time to download, so when you run the build, it really download a huge source code, which means that this will take a very long time. Just imagine if you have a monolithic application, and again, you make very small change, and you don't need, if you have a self-hosted or if you have a build, you don't need to rebuild the application. Build is enough, so you will just changing a very small part of the application. But because this is a hosted agent, and again, this created on the fly, so you will need to download the source code on the hosted agent every time you run the build. And in this case, with large application, this will not be very effective. Also, if your build process does intensive process, like for example, running massive static analysis or active penetration testing or intensive refactoring or optimization for the code. Just again, if you run really intensive work in your code, either static analysis or refactoring, and all this kind that takes long time for build. If you run also integration testing or system testing, which accessing the database, or you run a UI testing, which is usually run rich UI components and require high configuration machine. If you're running mission critical application, it is always better to have a second line support or contingency as a self-hosted in case any problem happen with the hosted agent. If you want to deploy an application to on-premises environment and you don't want to open your firewall, you can't open your on-premises servers to be accessed by the hosted agent. So this is the cases when not to use each one. You can watch this video for more information about Kubernetes cluster, how to deploy Docker image to Azure Kubernetes service, and how to configure CI/CD pipelines for an end-to-end development and deployment scenario. In the self-hosted, I will start always with the hosted, and then if I have any problem, then I will go for the self-hosted. It is the same concept. Use as a backup, again, for a mission-critical application. Let's understand the difference between organization agent pool and project agent pool. So let's say that I have an organization one, and then I start create an agent pool on the organization called build pool one. So this agent pool on the organization level. Once I created on the organization, then I can install agent one, agent 2 on this agent pool on the organization. To install this agent, I need to be an admin role on the build pool 1. So I just need to be an organization admin or a member of the admin role on this build pool to install the agent. This is why if I want to delegate this permission, let's say for example I am the organization admin, but I don't need to manage what agent will be installed on this agent pool. So I will create the build pool one on the organization, then add the project admin, for example, on the admin role on this build pool. Then he or she can install or remove any agent from this agent pool. On the Azure DevOps project, let's say I have 3 projects. So now I can create a build pool 1 on the project 1, which mapped to the build pool 1 on the organization. And in order to do that, either this user need to be in the admin role on the build pool or in the service account role. So both of them can create project pool that mapped to the agent pool on the organization. But of course, again, the admin pool on the agent on the organization, the only permission needed for install and uninstall agents. And the relationship between the project pool and the organization pool is one-to-one. So I can't create multiple project pool for the same organization pool in the same project. So let's say I create for the project 2, I start creating project pool 1, which map to the build pool 1. So we can see now, and it is the same. Also, the relationship here is one-to-one. So we can see now we have project 1 and project 2 mapped to build pool 1 as an organization build pool 1. And each one of them is mapped to one project pool, and all of them is mapped to the organization build pool 1. which has 2 agents. Also, I can start creating build pool 2, and if I am the admin on the organization level, I can auto provision the organization pool. So when I create the project pool behind the scene, this will create an agent pool on the organization level. And of course, I need to be organization admin so I can create the project pool which allow me to create an agent pool on the organization level. And of course, I can install and uninstall agent on this build pool later. And once I have that, the user role on the project level, the user role will be able to see the build and of course use the build. For example, they can use that for running the build. And the admin role on the project pool level used to add user or remove user who can run the build. You can watch this video for more information about Docker containerization and where and how Docker can fit with DevOps and CI/CD pipelines. Let's see the relationship between projects and project agent pool and organization agent pool. So now I have project 1, and this project 1 is mapped to build pool 1, and this build pool 1 mapped to organization build pool 1. And the relation between the project 1 and build pool 1 is always 1-to-1. And between the project build 1 and the organization build pool 1 is also 1-to-1. If I can have another build pool 2 with build pool 2 here for the organization, and the relationship here from project 1 to build pool 2 is 1-to-1, and from build pool 2 to build pool 2 on organization is 1-to-1. So the relationship between project 1 and build pool 1 is 1-to-1. I can't have two relationship between the project and the build pool. But for projects and build pools, it is many to many because multiple projects can map to multiple build pools. As we can see, for example, project 1 now using build pool 1 and build pool 2. And of course, build pool 2 can be used by other projects as well. So the relationship between projects and build pools is many to many. But between single project and build pool and single build pool is always 1-to-1. Okay, let's how we are going to delegate organization pool admin to a project admin. As we explained, so now I am the organization admin. So first, I will start create the build pool on the organization level. And I will just add the project admin in the admin role on this build pool. So once I add him or her in this role, which means that they can now install agent on this build pool. After they install the agent, they just go for the project and start creating project pool which map to this build pool and they can use it. And also they can add people to the service account role, which people in this account can also create the project build pool, but they can't install or uninstall agents. And of course, once they have that, they also can add people to user role so they can run the build, or they can add people to admin role where they can add other users and manage users. So in this way, I can be the organization admin and delegate the organization build pool to a project admin. Let's review the organization pool and the project pool roles and permission. On the organization pool, the service account role, this role or this permissions, if we put a user in this role, they can create a project pool that map to this organization pool. So this role can't install or uninstall any agent, but they can create a project pool which will be mapped to this organization pool. For the admin role on the organization, they can install and remove agent beside creating the project pool, which map. So beside the previous permission, they can also install and remove agents. On the project pool, the user role, this is the permission for they can use the build pool. So they can run the build, they just use it. And use agent pool for build. This is the user role. With the admin role, they can use, of course, the build. They can manage membership. So they can add and remove other users which can use the build. So this is the main permissions. Of course, we have different permission. For example, on the organization pool, we also have read. This is for monitor the agents. But I will say this is mostly the most important permissions to be used. Okay, let's understand what is the difference between the service and the interactive for the agent, or the service and the process. When I run the agent as a service, this doesn't require to run any UI or automation. This is the interactive. So if I don't need to run any automation UI testing, then the service is the best one. Run appear in the Windows Services Management, as we will see in the demo. So because in the services, it's run independently on the login user, because this is like a background services on the Windows service. This is why if I open Windows service, I can see the build agent running. The service login using independent account, because again, maybe I will log into my machine using my account, but the build agent will use a different user account, maybe network services, or maybe even a different account. And usually, when I'm using automation UI, usually I will use a user account that will be used in the UI testing to configure the build agent as a service with the account that will be used to access the UI testing. Because this is a service, so we can configure to automatically start when the machine start, and even we can configure to be recovered. So for example, if it's crashed, then to be recovered as part of the Windows service capabilities or feature. The interactive. It is process used for build, require, run UI test. So it is a process, it is not services. This is why if we open the Windows services, we will not find that this build. And this is when I want to run an automated UI testing. It can also run non-interactive. Because it run the UI, it requires for run the UI testing, but also it can run normal build. Doesn't run nor appear in Windows services, as we explained. If you open the Windows service, you will not see it. It appears in the task management as a process because it's process. So, and again, this is why if it's crashed, I need to start it manually. The process login using the same account login to the machine. Once I start manually, it uses the same credential as my account. Of course, we can have configuration to auto login to the interactive, as we will see in the demo, but it means that usually is I will use an account that will be configured to be login to this interactive service. The process needs to be started manually. Install Azure Pipelines. To install Azure Pipeline, all I just need to go on the organization setting, as we can see here, go for agents and download. Once I download, extract the build, and then run the configuration. For uninstall, just run the configuration with remove switch. Run agent as a service or as a process. This is the most important part here. If I enter Y, which yes, this will run the build as a service. If I left it empty, it means that no, and this will make interactive. So let's see what we'll see in the demo. So first, we will see a demo that we will see what is the existing images on the hosted cloud provided by Microsoft. This is the ready-made images that I again provided or consumed. I just use them. Then we will go using the self-hosted agent, and in this case I will using on premises because I will using my machine here on premises to install the agent, not an agent on the cloud. So we will see that I have Azure DevOps organization called DevOps New Work, and then in this organization I have three projects, project 1, 2, 3. Then the first step, I will create organization build pool 1. And because I am the organization admin, then I can install agent 1. I will install it as a service. Then install agent 2 on the same machine, which is my machine, this laptop, as a service. Then I will start to go for project 1, create a project pool that map to this agent pool, to the organization agent pool. Then going to project 2, create a project pool that map to this organization pool. Then going for project 3, and because I am the admin on the organization, then I can create a project pool that can create organization agent pool behind the scene. So once I create that as a new pool, it will create organization agent pool, which is build pool 2. Then I will install agent 3 as an interactive, which will be used for running UI test, and then also showing you how to uninstall this agent from the machine. So this is the demo. So let's see the demo. You can watch this video for more information about lead time and how to measure DevOps performance and continuous delivery. So let's see a project which use the hosted agent. And if I click Q and go for Azure Pipelines, here the list of the ready-made images. Again, I can choose just the image I want. Let's say, for example, Ubuntu 16.04, and then run the build. I can also click Edit on the build to choose the build definition, configure the build definition to use the hosted agent and choose that, so I don't need to choose which image in every build. And then every time now I run this build, it will use this image. And again, I consumed that. This is the hosted agent provided by Microsoft. I just consumed it. So I can't configure that. While I can't configure that, but just to keep in mind, there is a build tool installer task which enable me to install some tools on the fly. And again, this is another topic, but just to give you that while it's hosted agent, but I can still do some tricks for that. So let's now move to the self-hosted or the private agent, which is I used to configure. So now I will navigate to the organization. So if I go for agent pool, as we can see, we just have the Azure pipeline. This is the hosted and the default. This is the default organization pool. And I will not use it, just to show you how I can create a new pool. So this is on the organization level. Let's open all our project 1, 2, and 3. And if I navigate to the project agent pools, we can see that the same. I don't have any pools. So what I'm going to do now is just to create organization agent pool. I will remove that, and I will call it build pool _1, the same as the workflow of our demo. So now I have build pool 1 on the organization. So if I click this build pool, we can see that there is no jobs. And of course, I can click on security. We can see that I am administrator on the agent pool on the organization. And of course, I can add other administrator as well, as we explain. For example, if I want to delegate, I can add the reader who can monitor this agent. For example, let's say the IT that monitor the health of this so they can understand if it's working or not. I can also add the service account. Service account people in this role or this group, they can add project pool and map that to this organization pool, but they can't install or uninstall agent. So if I want to people to install or uninstall, I need to add them to the administrator on this agent pool. So if I want to delegate the permission of the project admin to be able to install agent and uninstall agent on this organization pool, then I just need to add them to the administrators. So this is how to manage the organization agent pool. So now let's navigate to agents. As we can see, we don't have, and just download the agent. I already downloaded and extracted. So as we can see here, once I create the agent pool on the organization, I don't have them here. Of course, we have the checkbox that I removed. We can, by creating the agent pool, to be automatically creating a project pool mapped, but I removed that because I wanted to make everything manual so you can understand the process. So now install or download the build extract. So I already downloaded. So I will copy and then I will create a new folder here called build, and I will create 3 folders for 3 agent. So this will be agent 1, another one will be agent 2, and another one will be a capital agent 3. Then I will paste the extracted build after the download. Just Control V to paste the build. So now the build is copied to my folders. So now the build is complete. So I will run the command prompt. I prefer to run an elevated mode. Then I will open my agent pool on the organization, and let's navigate to the first agent folder, cd build and cd agent 1, and then run configure. So this will bring the configuration for me. I just need the URL, so I will copy the URL from here. This is for personal access token, just type yes, and I need a personal access token, so I will just open a new tab, create a new personal access token. This will be for demo and just for 1 day with full access. Again, it's just using for configuring the build at this moment. I will copy that in Notepad because I will use it multiple times. And get back to the agent pool so we can see that. Then paste the PAT or personal access token. Now it's connecting. It needs the build pool name. So as we can see here, we just give the build pool name, and the agent name, it will be agent 1. Of course, I can name it anything. Now we can see that the agent 1 is created, and just give it a second. Now it's online. If I navigate to the task manager, search for the service with V, still the old name here, VSTS, and here's the agent 1. And if I open the service, they change the name here, so it's Azure DevOps Pipeline Agent. So as we can see now, build pool 1 has agent 1. So let's navigate to the second agent folder, cd agent 2, and then configure the same URL and enter for personal access token, just to copy the personal access token. Now the same build pool name, build pool 1 underscore 1, agent underscore 2. This is the name of the agent. Now we will see the agent will be created. The work folder, here I will type yes for service, network services. So now I have agent 2. Give just seconds and it will be online again. So if I get here, we can see now we have 2 services, and if I refresh here, we can see in the Windows service we have 2 services running. And if I double click here, as we can see, and go for login, we can see that it login using the network services. So this is, now I have the build agent on the organization and it has 2 agents. Now let's go for project 1. This is project 2 and project 3, just to show you that I don't have anything here because this was on the organization pool. Now I go for project 1, and I will create an existing pool. And again, I can choose the build pool 1, which is the agent. So this is just a mapping. So now this is on the project setting. I have build pool 1, which mapped to the build pool 1 on the agent. Here for project 2, still I have nothing. So I will do the same, just add pool and existing. And this I can choose now build pool 1, which is the organization build pool 1. So now I have project 2, which map to build pool 1 on the organization. As we can see, I can't add existing because there is no more existing build pool that available. If I go for project 3, as we can see, that it doesn't has any mapping. And in this case, I will create a new pool. And here I will create build pool underscore 2. And because I am the organization administrator, so if we navigate to the organization pools, pool, so we can see that I don't have build pool 2. I will click create. And because I am the organization admin behind the scene, this will create an organization build pool. And of course, which is an empty. So I will install an agent as an interactive. So it is the same agent, just the configuration is different. So let's navigate to that agent. Agent 3, the same config, the same configuration except one step, the same URL, yes for path, copy the personal access token, the name of the pool, build pool 2 underscore 2, and the name of the agent, agent underscore 3. The work folder. Here is the trick. I will here choose no, and this will configure the build as an interactive. So how I can see that? If I refresh, we will not see new agent here because it's not running as a service. It runs as a process. This is why I need to run it manually. So if I run that manually, this will run the build as a process. And if we give a few time, we can see now the build is online. This is why if I close this window, or I terminate this window, as we can see, once I terminate it, then the build stop and I need to run it manually again. So it will become online again. So as we can see, it's online. If I close that, this will close the build. And this is why, again, I just need to run it manually. Of course, I can configure automatic login, but this is also, another steps. So now I'm going to remove the build, so uninstall, yes for path, and copy the path. This is how to uninstall or remove the agent. Then this will remove the agent from the machine. If I refresh now, then this will move. So now I managed to uninstall the agent. So we saw now how to manage the build pool and install the configuration, what is the permission needed, and how to delegate admin the organization pool for the project admin and the project pool. At the end, I would like to thank you for watching the video. Please, if you have any question or comment, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find more information on my blog, which will appear at the end of the video, along with some other related video. Thank you.